Hello, thanks for dropping in. I hope you're all well. We are going to definitely check out some relationship stories. And if you enjoy these Reddit stories, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button and even that notification bell. So let's dive right in with the first story today. It starts out with, my son will inherit, his affair baby will receive nothing. My name is Amelie, 26, and I have a 5-year-old son. My ex-husband, 29, cheated on me with his co-worker, Bethany, 28. I was 2 months pregnant with her second child when I found out. Bethany was going to have this child. I miscarried. My ex left the house to be with her. It's been 2 years since it was born. My mother-in-law has been supportive of me and has nothing to do with my ex or his mistress and their child, up until a few months ago. I adore my in-laws and we're extremely close. My mother-in-law and parents are the best of friends. She loves me and her grandson more than anything. This infuriates my ex-husband's affair partner. My in-laws cut contact with them straight away. Bethany was jealous that her child would never know the love of grandparents. At least her son has a father. This brings us to the problem. Unfortunately, my mother-in-law has been very ill for a while, and so she's updated her will. My ex-husband was an only child, and so he would get everything, but now my son will inherit her house, villa, and money. I will receive a large portion of her money and all of her belongings. Until my son turns 18, it will be in my trust. If I pass before that, my parents will take care of it. They do not know this. The thing is, once they caught wind of her being ill, my ex-husband begged for forgiveness. The mistress started being nice towards her. She started fights and called her horrible names before, and forced her to be around his baby. My mother-in-law is bedbound, but she says she wants to leave with a bang, so she'll endure this. I haven't encouraged her to do anything, and this is her choice alone. They want her money, and her son thinks he is still included in the will. He also thinks his child will be now acknowledged by his grandmother and will also receive money. Now my mother-in-law hasn't actually said she's forgiven them. She despises her son and his mistress for tearing apart her family. She wants to reward those who deserve it and get revenge in one go. The mistress keeps on hinting on how her child will grow up and attend a great college, etc. Money-involved things whenever she's around my mother-in-law. Actually, mother-in-law's niece, my cousin by marriage, has overheard her on the phone discussing what wallpaper she wants in the dining room when she moves in and how my mother-in-law has no taste whatsoever. She also mentioned now how she will finally be able to take down the pictures of my son when my ex owns the house. Too bad for her, it will belong to my son. No changes will be made until my son becomes 18. It's his grandmother's home and he should be allowed to cherish it in the way that she's decorated it. I'm not really allowed to tell anyone, and though this revenge will be satisfying, I'll have to lose my mother-in-law. It's kind of a win-lose situation, and I dread the day when she'll take her last breath. She means a lot to me. I love her. She wants this for her grandson and has said that she cannot rest until she knows her son and his mistress have been punished. She wants this because her childhood was also ruined because of her father and his affair partner. She wants my son to know he was loved and will always be loved. I hope my son will always value the great women in his life. I wish he had more time with his grandmother. I might make an update if anyone wants it, though I pray to God it's a long time before that. Edit. I thought this post would attract just a handful of people, but wow. Thank you all for listening to me and giving me advice. As for those who are angry at me for not asking my mother-in-law to include my ex's new child, I can't do anything about that. Yes, I am happy and that's selfish, but I'm going to put myself and my son first. That child contributed to my miscarriage and is one of the reasons why my son has not had a father for over 2 years. I can't change my mother-in-law's mind about him. I do pity the baby, but it's not up to me to fend for it. It's not my responsibility. I've tried talking to my mother-in-law, but she's had her whole childhood ruined because her father made his affair children his top priority. This is why she wants nothing to do with it or her son. He knows that she went through so much because of cheaters, yet he decided to do the same thing to her. He has seen his grandfather favor his aunt and uncle over his mother. If this happened to you, you wouldn't be so happy about sharing yet another thing with the baby. Thank you again to those who have listened to me, and I've read out the nice comments to my mother-in-law. We've had a great laugh together. Edit 2. The mistress would send photos of her ultrasounds after I miscarried, either to me or to my family. In the first envelope, she sent a full letter of the nastiest things about me, my son, and my miscarried baby. She'd even tagged me on social media on the account I didn't know about. I was an invitation to her baby shower. She has done plenty of disgusting and hurtful things to me regarding my miscarried baby. The people who are coming at me in the comments would not be as civil as me if anything like that happened to them. Ignoring her child is honestly the best option. I do not want my son to grow up with her son. And to those who are insulting and saying rude things about my dying mother-in-law, you are truly disgusting. Now for the top of advices. Please have the will overlooked for the lawyer just in case he contests it and to prevent any loopholes. Yes, she's had that done by 2 separate lawyers, and my ex-husband willingly gave me full custody of her son. He shot himself in the leg. As soon as she passes, your ex is going to be in that house and trying to establish himself. Ask the lawyers how to mitigate that because you will be grieving and shouldn't have to endure that right then. Story 2. Ex-fiance wants to catch up after he left me at the altar. How do I proceed? Plus update. Original post. Me, 28 female, ex-fiance Derek, 32 male, disappeared the morning of our wedding 2 years ago, evading all attempts to reach him from myself and his family. It was devastating, absolutely soul-crushing. The event turned into a party to distract from the pain of the unknown. Afterwards, I returned to our apartment and slept on the bathroom floor in my wedding dress. It was quite the ugly sight, to be honest. His mother ended up coming to the apartment when she informed me tearfully that Derek had run off with his ex. They had apparently reconnected a week prior to the wedding, and he just couldn't go through with it, opting instead to rekindle his relationship with his ex. His family was horrified. I didn't hear from him until 3 months after he left. He called me and apologized and then revealed that his ex had been hiding his child from him that he just found out about. He wanted to be with them. That's pretty much all that was said. I didn't say much. Actually, I think I said, hello. The whole situation left me numb. I just didn't care anymore. Thankfully, though, my friends were and continue to be there for me. Through all of this muck, they encouraged me to seek therapy and work on healing, which I'll be honest was terribly difficult. But after a year, I felt like myself again. Which brings me to today. After this whole debacle and subsequent self-improvement rebuilding, I moved to the UK, originally from Australia, for a change in scenery. Last night I got a message request on Instagram. It was Derek. Hey, I've heard you moved to Wales. That's so cool. I'll be traveling to Cardiff towards the end of July. I'm deeply sorry about everything and I want to discuss what happened leading up to the wedding. I hope I'm not overwhelming you. Let me know if you'd like to talk over lunch. Firstly, no idea who told him about my move. Secondly, I don't know if I crave closure from him, but I also don't want to decide to decline to only layer on regret my decision. So I turned to you strangers of the internet. What should I think about before reaching a decision? Would it be wise to decline or should I humor him and listen to his reasons? Minor update. Wow, this garnered far more attention than I anticipated, so bear with me as I try to navigate all of your advice. Although the general consensus is quite clear, I have learned that an old mutual friend of ours revealed where I moved, and evidently he's been stressing that he needs to tell me something. For the time being, I have decided to simply ignore his message and work through my emerging feelings with my therapist. Thanks. Now for the full update. Full update. Hello everyone. I did update in my original post, but I've decided to repost it here. So as I mentioned previously, I decided to not respond to his message. A day afterwards, however, I received another message from him, which I won't write it out in its entirety. To sum it up for you, although he apologized for how disingenuous his initial message was and explained why he had reached out to me, essentially he wanted to discuss that week, that final week before our wedding, and the events that led up to him dipping out. Now, I will refrain from entirely delving into my ex's and I's past, but my ex-husband was diagnosed with PTSD, with avoidant attributions from past experiences. His diagnosis did provide quite a bit of clarity looking back at our relationship and his past behavior, so I truly feel for him in his journey of self-healing. However, despite his struggles, I told him that I couldn't forgive him for his callous act of living, me in perpetual state of limbo for 3 months, unsure of why he abandoned me. He said he understood. Now, and some of you will be quite mad with me, but I ultimately agreed to meet him for lunch, and I do not regret it. He's not with his ex. Actually, she passed away 6 months after he left me at the altar, which is part of the reason why she reached out to him in the first place. Since then, he has been working on himself through therapy and navigating single fatherhood. Yes, the child is his. The lunch wasn't too long, but it was all around cathartic on both sides. At the end of the lunch, he handed over an envelope which contained the money that we spent preparing for the wedding. Honestly, I was dumbfounded. It wasn't a gesture I was expecting on his behalf, and I think he was taken aback when I returned the ring he had given me. It's funny that I held on to the ring just in case I needed to sell it if my finances continued to be unstable, but I never had to. Ironic that in the end I did receive money while seemingly trading that ring. He looks better, and not to toot my own horn, but I feel I do as well. Now that chapter has concluded and I no longer feel rage or remorse. I feel free. I feared that I might have still harbored feelings for him, but I have since found that I loved him for the man he was in that moment when we were together, and though we're now apart, I'm okay with looking back and acknowledging the love that I had for him. I've closed that chapter now with him, with the woman I was with him. Thank you all so much. Any advice on how I should spend the money? Haha. Story 3. My 26 female husband, 28 male, slapped my best friend, 31 female, for staring at my breasts. Plus, update. Original post. Me and my husband have been together for 5 years and married for 1 year. I just had a baby several months ago and I'm breastfeeding her. Before my pregnancy, it was a B cut, but after having a baby, my breasts have increased to a double D. My husband, of course, loves the increase in my chest size and has lately been expressing sudden bouts of jealousy if anyone showed a little too much attention to me. The weekend before, both of our families and friends gathered together for a family celebration. Everyone congratulated us on the baby and oohed and awed, all of that usual stuff. Somewhere halfway through dinner, we were all peacefully eating and conversing. My best friend, we'll call her Amy, was staring a long time at my breasts, and I said, "You look like you want a taste of my Norks," and we both laughed. But without warning, my husband slapped my best friend on the face and said her breasts are only for me to look at. Amy was stunned, and she immediately left the table while I looked at my husband in shock and asked what the fuck was he thinking. I said, "Sorry, I'm a bit territorial." Now he knows the way Amy and I joke around, and he's never acted this jealous before. And over what? Her gazing at my breast that long? Why wouldn't she or anyone I know for that matter? They're double D's now, for crying out loud. His parents saw everything, everyone did, and they said that he has every right to defend his territory. I'm sorry, are we animals? I went after Amy, who was crying and already had an angry red mark on the side of her face. I calmed her down and she told me, "We were just joking around. What if he hits you someday?" I don't see my husband capable of doing that, but I am worried about his jealousy that appeared during and after my pregnancy. Is this normal for men to act territorial during this period? And even though that doesn't excuse him from hitting a woman who is my best friend. Edit. The red mark has now been turned into a horrendous bruise, and I'm now freaking out because my husband has never shown this amount of jealousy before, not even close. And the more time passes, the more I think she might be right, and if he can't control his impulses, then what guarantee is there that he won't do the same to me? Edit 2. I'm far from okay with it, and I have been cold towards him and keeping my distance since that day. Every time I see her and the bruise on her mark, I feel rage inside of me, and I cried this morning because I can see that my best friend is in pain, and she's still not going to press charges because I'm her friend and he's my husband, and all she cares about is me. I'm terrified at the thought of being a single mother, and I don't know if I can handle motherhood on my own, but Amy said that she will support me and help me. When he hit her, I was in shock, but I had the fleeting thought of stabbing him with a knife that was laying in the middle of the table. But I also had the fleeting thought, I can't go to jail because I'm a mother. I love my best friend. When we were in college, a guy roofied her drink and I made him instantly regret it. So I do care for my best friend deeply. Now for the OP comments and replies before reading the update. I'm sorry, are you high? Let me be really fucking clear. Amy is 100% right. He hit her hard enough to leave an angry red mark. How are you not freaking the absolute out? OOP replied, I'm freaking out because the more time passes, the more I'm thinking that maybe she's right. And seeing the red mark turn into a horrendous bruise is freaking me out even more. Now for the update. Update. I recently made a post about this. To briefly recap it, we were at a family celebration and my best friend Amy, fake name, was staring at my breast for a long time and I jokingly said, You look like you want a taste of my Norks. We both laughed, but my husband slapped her without warning and said, Her breasts are only for me to look at. She left the room when I asked my husband what the fuck was he thinking. He said, Sorry, I'm a bit territorial. His parents saw everything and said that he has a right to defend his territory. When I followed Amy and found her crying, she asked me, What if he does that to you someday? She had an angry red mark on her face from where he had slapped her. I had a baby several months ago and I'm currently breastfeeding, so my former B cups are increased to double D. More than a few people have been giving me attention because of them, and my husband has been having sudden bouts of jealousy lately. Amy and I have been joking about my increased breast. So, to get to the update, first Amy's red mark turned into a horrendous bruise, and her side of the face was a little swollen for a few days but has returned to its normal size. I've been massaging her injury and rubbing it with arnica oil, but she's still taking ibuprofen. Seeing her in pain has been painful for me, and I've cried a few times while taking care of her wound, and all she cared about is me getting away from my husband. The next day after I posted my first post, my husband had come to me and apologized for acting territorial and striking Amy. He realizes that he should have just played along because he knows that our friendship would never cross the platonic friend line, and he'll go to therapy to fix his jealousy periods. I accepted his apology because he's the father of my child, but when we had sex the next few days, I felt nothing, zero connection. I told him to stop on the third day when he was halfway, and he did stop and ask me what was wrong. I told him I was not feeling so good and he just went to sleep. I kept replaying that slap over and over again this past week, and the more time passes, the more I realize that even though he might be a good husband and father, slapping a woman just because he looked at my breasts for too long in a joking way is something I can't forgive him for. I can't continue to live with a man who would do that. I don't even feel love for him anymore, just dead feelings. My baby and I are staying at my parents' place now, and I told my parents everything that has happened, and my father swore that if he was at that table when it happened, he would have beat my husband to a bloody pulp. Also, I want to add that my parents weren't at the family celebration, but my other family members were, including my younger sister. They were all in shock and nobody said or did anything. My father is currently getting a lawyer for me, and the entire process terrifies me. My husband has contacted me already and asked why I would do this when he already apologized and said he was going to therapy, and that isn't that supposed to be enough for me to stay? He called me unloyal, double-crossing, and an unworthy cunt. He also said that there were a million times he could have cheated on me when I was pregnant and nursing, but he never did, and he should get credit for that because that's what other men would have done. His parents told me that I'm a selfish whore who can't stay true to her husband and has chosen some gay bitch over her loving and loyal husband. All of that made my blood boil, and I want to just push back my fears of being a single mom and just divorce him. Amy is still more than happy to help me with the baby and even suggested for me to move in with her so she can be there to help anytime, just as long as I get away from that POS. Edit. Amy hasn't filed a police report nor pressed charges yet. but it's completely up to her if she wants to do it or not, because she said that since she was the one who was assaulted, it is her decision. Story 4. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother it's pathetic that he can't do the basics of what his wife did? I love my sister-in-law and brother. They have 2 kids, and my sister-in-law Rachel was kind of a stay-at-home mother. She worked from home part-time but also took care of the kids and all the chores. I was over multiple times and the house was spotless. Really, I thought she was just extra cleaning when she had guests, but no. When I had my kid, she showed me her schedule. She would be up at 5 for meal prepping for the whole day. Like, she never stopped, and a lot of her tips helped me with my own home. Now my brother lost his job, and it was decided that Rachel would go back to work full-time and he would stay at home. The kids are in kindergarten and the 1st grade. He was on this easy mode. I've been over to help sometimes since he just sucks at it. The house is always a mess. The kids are usually late to school. He asked me to drive them after the school talked to him. He doesn't cook. It is just sad. He got into a huge argument with his wife since dinner wasn't done and she had to make it. He was ranting about how it was unfair but that he was trying. I told him it's pathetic he can't do the basics of what his wife did. He has 8 hours free and he can't keep the house clean. I told him she will divorce him if he doesn't stop being lazy and figure it out. He left after calling me a jerk, and my mom is now on me for what I said. Thank you for the mac and cheese recipes. Updates. I love my sister-in-law. My mom apologized to me. Rachel sent my mom what the kitchen and the house looks like. The messages from the school and apparently a text argument about how he shouldn't be doing this. She gave him 2 options, get his shit together or get out. I learned a lot more about the situation and learned he wasn't packing the kids' lunches the last 2 days. I think he just broke his marriage. Now for the top of advices. Not the a-hole. She worked part-time and did it all. He has no job at all and can't even somewhat cut it. How the hell were the kids late? I mean, one time can always happen, but consistently? I think being a stay-at-home parent is hard, but with both kids going to school, you should have the time to do most of it. The kids are supposed to be dropped off at 7:30 to 8, classes at 8:15. He has been getting them there at 8:30 most days. I don't get it. I've been late a few times, but the school has to talk to him about it. Hell, the bus is an option, but you have to wake up earlier for that. Level 3. That would piss me off the most. What is he trying to make sure that they're late? I am trying to think, if he doesn't have a job and knows the time they need to be at school, why would they be late? He's testing her patience. That's all for today. If you're enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you.